Described as one of the largest gathering of entrepreneurs in Nigeria, the fifth edition of the Caladium Lagos SME Bootcamp at the Zone Tech Park, Bagada, Lagos, provided an opportunity to further address the challenges facing the growth of micro, small, and medium businesses. Mr. Ayo-Bankole Akintujoye shared why the focus on supporting MSMEs in Nigeria was a focus and a core objective for them.
There's nothing we can do from a policy or service or whatever standpoint that if does not address the SMEs, you can't really unlock proper economic growth, right? Because the more SMEs journey into becoming large enterprises, the higher your chances of becoming an economic powerhouse. I mean, the BMWs, the Mercedes, Tesla, they were all startups, they were all SMEs, right? And then SMEs is not just about tech. So there is a re-engineering or a mind shift now that is making everybody think that startup means tech. So we are neglecting those in the real sector, the productive sector, right? You know, those who possess stuff, those who are in the agriculture space, manufacturing, right? Fashion, beauty. So that's why we have a bias for them. And that was why we set this up, so that we can support those at that level with the same access to conversations, to professional services, to advisory services, to funding, micro-funding, grants, and credit and all of that, that ordinarily will not be available to them in the larger economy. So that was how we started this. And we have done it now. This is the 5th edition, but the 6th version. So the 5th Lagos edition, we had one edition in Ibadan last year, you know, and it was awesome. So the plan is that over the years, we would evolve possibly into a proper academy, and we can support SMEs on scholarships, we can democratize access to professional services.
The event had as keynote speaker Dr. Oby Ezekwesili, the former vice president of the World Bank Africa region and the founder Human Capital Africa. She said sound policies was critical to the growth, productivity, and competitiveness of SMEs in Nigeria.
In any country that sensibly wants to unlock the kind of growth that is capped in its people, trying their best to follow the path of economic growth, is really sound policies. The country needs sound policies around the matter of SMEs. There are some policies that are making sense. The market principles are important for economic growth. The more that we move away from this socialist thought, the better for us. The reason that God gave different talents to people in the Bible is because of market. It's market. It's the idea that you got your talent, I got my talent. At least it's a minimum of one, right? And we can engage in market. Markets made China's legendary history with poverty to reverse. They haven't democratized their politics, but they understood that individuals respond to the stimulus that is called incentive. And once they understood that, and they started with agrarian reforms, access to land where you can keep the reward of your effort, it changed. The reason that our politicians are not paying attention to 96% of the businesses that make up the business sector of our country is because, frankly speaking, they do not see the value to that. They are caught up in the traps of the oil well of the Niger Delta. So they do not understand the concept of the power of markets to change dramatically the situation in a country. You must become advocates for the respect of market system in our country. God bless you all and wish you well.
The fifth Caladium Lagos SME Bootcamp featured engaging panel sessions on how SMEs can structure their finances for growth and investment opportunities, effective tools available for SMEs to leverage for growth, and effectively managing multiple stakeholders in a complex operating environment. The keynote speaker gave a perspective on the bootcamp experience, and some of the panelists spoke on the various issues around the growth and development of SMEs.
I think it's been a rewarding experience. You could see so much energy in the room, and you need energy, for people to thrive. And you can see that the level of sophistication of the thoughts that we had, in the conversation, gives you a sense that we are really batting below our possibilities. And so there is so much more that we can do through policy engagements that can happen between this kind of a community of people and those in government, as well as with the larger private sector, who can be indeed great partners for a number of these entrepreneurs.
How do you think business owners, or what are the strategic ways business owners can separate their personal finance from their business finance?
Fantastic. So I think for every business owner, you must remember that your business is a separate entity from yourself, right? So there is the business and here is the person, Oluwatosin in this case. So why is this very important? You need to be able to start paying yourself a salary, because if you would either ways deep into the company's funds, you might as well just allocate that to yourself so they can see the transfer that this is salary for you. Also, in the future, if you're expecting investors, if you've never paid your salary, all of a sudden you're paying yourself something very grand, it looks fishy, it looks somehow. So you start the way you want to be, the way you want to end. So you just start now and you start practicing those good habits. Another reason why it's very important to be able to pay yourself money, right? This is very, very important because you can then invest in your own personal capacity, right? Because now your business is in a particular sector. What you could invest in could be in other sectors. It's like a form of diversification. It's something to fall back on. It's something that nobody would touch, even if anything happens to your business. So we strongly advocate for this. We also bear into consideration that businesses are in different stages. You're in your beginning stage or in maturity. So you also have to be able to understand, where am I currently at now? What can my business afford, amongst others? Thank you.
So when it comes to numbers, especially with the example of the media outlets, I would say the numbers I'm talking about doesn't have to be followers. The numbers of, okay, how many businesses have you done? What are the results? How many people have you been able to reach? How many people clicked on the website that you're doing as the media outlet? After, even if you, Nigerian buyers, they are more concerned about how many people actually purchased the products, not how many likes, how many views, how many shares. So when I talk about the numbers, I'm not just talking about likes and views or shares and everything. I'm talking about numbers that matter: the reach, the impression, the profile visits, the website clicks, the email clicks. Those are the important numbers that we should be concentrating on, and not just the likes, not just vanity metrics, basically.
What are the common errors you've seen people make, especially for SME business owners? What are the common errors you've seen when it comes to taxations, and what are the right thing that you're supposed to do?
Okay, so the first issue is that they make an assumption that they shouldn't pay taxes, that they've got to run away and not comply. And we're trying to build a different country. So people need to show compliance from day one. The other thing is to assume that you have something to pay, because many times the level of tax awareness is not high. But you can take a lot of deductions for expenses and you get the benefit. So people just assume that those benefits are not there. And in fact, government has a lot of incentives for SMEs. What I think we need to do in collaboration with Caladium, Bootcamp, is to come up with a compendium of those incentives that apply to SMEs.
I think it's been incredible. The list of panelists have been well, selected, and there are so rich conversations that I've personally listened to today. I want to commend the team. It's so incredible. Thank you for doing this for SMEs.
Now, for you, what's like the main thing you're going on with today?
Main thing I'm going over with is partnership mapping.
That's interesting, partnership mapping, and that's of course is a and that speaks to collaboration as well, right?
So much because that's what I look forward to for coming here.
Good experience. I mean, it was a very, very productive plenary session as well, and I learned a lot about people, especially because I had a lot of people that are from the HR sector, and it was quite interesting on how, like, we need to actually do pay attention to our people because it's very, very important to the success of any MSME or any business at all.
One of my favorite part of it was the tax when we were talking about, how to compartmentalize your tax, your business in a way that you're paying your own salary and then the tax, applicable tax for you and the level of your income that applies for your tax insurance. That was for me a very good session, and also the session where they were talking about the importance of insurance in making sure that your risks are covered whatever part of business you are doing. For me, that is one point I feel every business should take home, and to go back home and then analyze your risk and understand that insurance is important, and taking the financial part of your business seriously is also very important.
Yeah, you've added quite a lot. You've summarized quite a lot of things. You talked about tax, you talked about partnership, you talked about insurance, which of course is very important, and that's how to start up the business. Thank you very much. Should we be expecting you next year?
Oh, definitely.
A major takeaway from the 5th Caladium Lagos SME Bootcamp is the need to address all the factors that inhibit the growth of MSMEs in Nigeria. This requires a mix of sound policies, partnerships, gaining knowledge, and effective financing measures.